Hello, welcome back to another vlog. I thought that I would film a reading vlog this week. I recently counted my physical TBR and I think there was like about 110 books. That is way too many. So this week I really want to prioritize reading from my TBR and also unhauling a few books that I just know that I'm not going to read. That is the plan. I feel like I'm blending into this couch. I just got this pajama set from Kmart. It kind of mimics the Skims one and it is so comfortable. But the first book I am reading currently is We Three Heroes by Lynette Noni. So this is part of the Madoran Chronicles. The Madoran Chronicles is a young adult fantasy world set at a magic academy. If you were a Harry Potter child growing up, I think that you'd really enjoy this. You follow our female main character Alex as she finds herself in a new world entirely, and in that world she becomes like the gifted one. She is the chosen gifted one of the group, and there's a threat. So there is a man who comes from a different part of the magical world who wants to erase all mortals, and it is up to Alex, the female main character, to stop that happening. There are 7 books in the series altogether, but 2 are novellas. So there's 5 books that you need to read and then 2 additional ones, and this is one of the novellas. So part of the series is following along with Alex and her 3 best friends. So in this book that I'm currently reading, we get to know a little bit more about the 3 best friends, DC, Jordan and Bear. So I'm really enjoying it. If you are going to read this series and want to read this book, you do need to read it after the first 4 books. So I've read the first 4 books, then I need to finish this one, and then I only have 2 books left. The final book and then a short Christmas novella. But I'm really enjoying it. I would say just know going into it that it is very young adult. Like the characters in here are 17, but for me it kind of reads a little bit more like they're 14. But it is a good fun time, and if you did like Harry Potter, I think you'll really enjoy it. But that is the first book. I also have book club tomorrow, so I'll bring you along to that. But that was Verity, which I finished today through BorrowBox. I borrowed it from the library to listen to it on Audible. It is quite a thrilling story, but I'll talk more about that tomorrow. Tonight, let's focus on getting some of this book read. I'm up to a very cute part of the book. So a couple of the characters get little love interests during the book, and I'm not going to spoil anything because obviously this is the novella that comes after book 4, so I can't tell you too much. But it's just so cute seeing 2 like young teenagers kind of falling for each other and how nervous they get. One of the main characters is about to take the other one on a date and tell them their feelings, and it's so cute to read, especially after the way the 4th book ended. It's getting quite hectic, and it was really sad actually, the 4th book ending. So it's kind of nice to have a little palate cleanser and get to learn a bit more about your main characters. So I'm very much enjoying it. I have almost finished the second part of the book now. So this book is set into 3. The first section follows one character, the second section the second character, and the third character. I think I have about 140 pages left of the book, so I don't think I'll get it finished tonight, but I will definitely get it finished tomorrow. So I'll definitely check in with you and let you know how it's going. But I just wanted to come on and give my little thoughts so far because it's just so cute to read about. I definitely tend to read more adult romance. It's just more my cup of tea, but this has been refreshing to like read about teenagers. It's so innocent and so cute. I am not happy because I left We Three Heroes, the book that I was going to finish tonight, at work. I only have about 60 or 70 pages left, so I was going to finish it tonight, which is so annoying. But 2 things I wanted to update you on. I did start Scarlet, the second book in the Lunar Chronicles today by Marissa Meyer. I'm listening to it through BorrowBox, so I can listen to the audio version of it from the book. But I am up to chapter 14. If you don't know what this series is about, it is a young adult sci-fi. There are 4 main books. So you have Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. They are all inspired by like the nursery rhymes, like Cinderella, you have Rapunzel, and this one has Little Red Riding Hood kind of entwined in there. But the premise of this book is you're following a cyborg character called Cinder, who is currently on the run. She is a lost princess on the run, lots of dark secrets, and then in Scarlet we are introduced to a second female main character, obviously called Scarlet, who meets a boy on her travels called Wolf, hence the little Red Riding Hood and Wolf combo there. And I believe the further we get into this book, Scarlet and Cinder's paths cross over. I know I'm not very good at explaining books, but that's what I'm currently listening to. My camera is flashing at me, but I also have book club, so I'll bring you along to book club tonight. We read Verity by Colleen Hoover. It was terrifying. I gave it 3 stars, not because it was bad, it's just psychological thrillers, definitely not for me. I am not very good at describing books yet, so I'm going to read the synopsis for Verity by Colleen Hoover off Goodreads for you. So, Lowen is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. She then arrives at the house, has to move in, and what she doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling omissions, including Verity's recollection of what really happened the day her daughter died, Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents would devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit, and she thinks that he has a right to know. There are so many twists and turns in this book. It does involve child death. I think you should know that going in because, yeah, that's obviously a very triggering subject. I don't think psychological thrillers are made for me. It was good, but I preferred The Handmaid's Tale. I preferred Freida McFadden's kind of writing. It's very kind of similar vibes to that, where it's not horror, but it's very unnerving and it's very makes you feel icky is the only way I can describe it. But that is what we're going to be talking about at book club today. I have on my Books with Jess little book club jumper, but for the next 10 minutes I am going to play on my phone, listen to a bit of Scarlet on my headphones and chill out, and then I'll bring you along to book club. This was one of the 25 books I needed to read this year because I read the first book probably late in 2023, so I just really need to get it off my physical TBR. But that's a little reading update. It is now Sunday. Book club was on Thursday, so it's been a couple of days since I last updated you, but book club was so much fun. I don't think I filmed a lot of footage, but I did really good in the quiz. I got 12 out of 12, but then I failed with the tiebreaker questions. For Verity, the average rating was about 3 stars. It was a good book, but there were just a few plot holes that we all found within the book. I much prefer Freida McFadden's books, The Housemaid, as opposed to Verity, but that's just my opinion. Still definitely recommend it if you do like a suspenseful kind of thriller. But I also wanted to come on because I finished the next book I was reading. So this is the book that I actually left at work, and it's the We Three Heroes. So this is book 4.5 in the Madoran Chronicles. So you read this after book 4, before book 5, and it follows the story of Alex, the female main character's 3 best friends. I absolutely love this book. It is 3 short novellas within one book, and each little short novella follows one of the best friends. So when you're reading the Madoran Chronicles, you get introduced to these 3 best friends and you see their behaviors, but you don't necessarily understand the reason why they act in certain ways. For example, there's a character in here called DC, and she's quite standoffish to begin with, and you don't know why. Another character has a brother who passed when he was younger, and although you know that there's still some grief that exists there, you never get to understand the full extent that passing caused on that character. But in this, you get a much broader understanding of it. And I really, really encourage you, if you're reading the series, to actually pick this one up and read it after book 4. I'm now reading the 5th book, Vardacia. I probably am mispronouncing that terribly. I've been reading this today and already 100 pages in. This will be the final book that I'm reading for the vlog. But this book concludes the series. I'm so sad. There is a short novella, like a Christmas themed novella, that follows the main character after. So I don't have to say goodbye just yet, but this is the finale of the main series. So I'm going to be very sad when I finish that. But I also wanted to come on because I'll overlay some footage. But I've been to quite a few independent book shops in the past few days. So I'll put a little list if you're from Perth. The 3 that I went to, there was one in Leederville, one in the CBD area, and one in Midland. And I did buy a book at each shop. I then do have a book from QBD and Dymocks, but I thought I'd give you a little book haul before I get back into reading. So today I picked up the Book of Azrael. I have heard amazing things about this, but I'm yet to read it. I think it's a monster fantasy book, and I quite like the gothic fantasy. I really loved Phantasmo and Enchantress, so I'm really trying to find similar books to that. So I'm hoping that this will give me kind of a similar vibe. I know that it will be different, but I'm hoping that the vibes are there. So I'm excited to read that. This one I picked up from Dymocks. And then I went to Stefan's Book in the City. So this bookshop specializes in sci-fi and fantasy. So I told myself I'm allowed to pick up one book, and I picked up The Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I am very excited to read this. The little blurb of it sounds very interesting. I know that this is quite popular right now on BookTok. It does have very mixed reviews. Some people either love it or hate it. So I'm hoping that I will love it, but this is another fantasy. I also went to Boundless Books on Friday night, which is an independent bookstore in Leederville, and I got Carly Fortune's One Golden Summer. I think it's called Just for the Summer. I'll correct it if it's wrong, but I've read that by Carly Fortune, and I really like her writing, but I hated the conflict that was in that book. It was a second chance romance, and the reason for the breakup to start with was like terrible, and that kind of ruined the book for me. But I've heard amazing things about this. This is an interconnected book, so it follows the brother that is in the book that I was just mentioning. I'm hoping that it's amazing. I've heard amazing things about this, and people consider the male main character Charlie that is in this book as like a book boyfriend. So I'm giving it another chance. I'm giving Carly Fortune another chance. I do like her writing. Second chance romances are just hit or miss for me. It depends on the reason for the initial breakup, and that one just was not for me. But her writing is good, so I'm excited to pick this up. It's definitely giving summer vibes, obviously, and I'm currently in winter, but this might be a nice holiday book for when I go away for my 30th birthday. At that bookstore, I also picked up Slags by Emma Jane Unsworth. It's giving very much Angus Thongs Are Perfect snogging vibes. My understanding is that you flip between the 1990s, where the main character Sarah was 15, and then you fast forward 26 years and Sarah's 41. So it's between like the past and present, and you just get to follow along with what she's up to. This is the next book club book, so I thought I'd pick it up because I actually saw it at the bookstore, so I thought, why not? It's quite short. It's like literally under 300 pages. It's only 270 pages. So I'm curious to see how I like it. On Goodreads, there's not like a lot of reviews, but the reviews give it maybe like about a 3.5, 3.7. So I'm curious to see what I think. I do think that maybe because I did grow up watching Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, that maybe I'll feel nostalgic when reading this. So I'm curious. We'll see what I think about that. And then went to QBD whilst I was in Midland, and admittedly most of the romance books I read and romantasy books, probably 99% follow a heterosexual couple, and I want to delve out and explore more books that follow like queer couples. I've only read Red, White and Royal Blue, and also I read a Christmas book by this author, Ashley Herring Blake, that follows 2 female characters. But my friend that was with me recommended this one by Ashley Herring Blake called Delilah Green Doesn't Care. It sounds like from the back of this that Delilah Green has like sworn off dating. She is very much she's living her bachelorette lifestyle, and then she has to go back to her hometown to photograph a wedding, and she meets her sister's best friend, and I think there's a connection that falls there. So I'm very excited. I'll definitely keep you updated on what I think about that. And then whilst I was in Midland, I went and checked out To Be Read. This is a romance bookshop that I followed on TikTok whilst they were building it, and I've been dying to actually go and check it out. It is stunning. If you're in Perth, I highly recommend it. And I was asking for a recommendation whilst I was there because I have actually never read a Marthia romance, so I thought that might be a good recommendation for me because I already have small town romances and sports romances to read that are already on my To Be Read. So I've decided to add a Mafia romance. So this one is called His Tesoro by Emilia Rossi. I love the cover. I do believe it's part of an interconnected series. One thing that sold me on this book is the lady at the character told me the female main character has like a disorder that can keep her immobile sometimes, so often she'll have to be in a wheelchair. And the mafia guy that like falls in love with her at one point gets her a guidance dog to like help her and assist her with her everyday life. And I was like, say no more. Like, I want to read about that. So I am very curious. It will be my first mafia romance. If you have more to recommend, let me know. But I thought that I should actually come on and chat, give you a little book haul. But I'm going to get back into reading the final book for this vlog, Vardasia. I'm so excited to see how this series ends. I have loved it. If you were a fan of Narnia or Harry Potter growing up, then I really recommend picking up the Madoran Chronicles series by Lynette Noni. It's very young adult. Just go in knowing that, like, the characters read a bit more like they're 14 versus 17, but it really gives me that nostalgic feeling of reading Harry Potter again for the first time. So I'm really enjoying it. It is a couple of days later. I finished Vardasia yesterday, so the last book in the Madoran Chronicles, and I thought I'd come on, close out the vlog and give you my final thoughts. So in this video I read 3 books, and then I also talked about Verity, which I finished a few days before I started. So Verity by Colleen Hoover I gave 3 stars, and that was like a psychological thriller. Scarlet by Marissa Myers, this is part of the Luna Chronicles. This is young adult sci-fi, also 3 stars. And then I read 2 books, part of the Madoran Chronicles. So I read book 4.5, We Three Heroes. So this has the 3 novellas that follow the main characters' 3 best friends, and also Vardasia, the final book in the main series, both by Lynette Noni. So We Three Heroes, 4.5 stars. Loved it. I highly recommend, if you're reading the series, to pick this one up and read it. It definitely adds a lot to the story. And then Vardasia, this was 5 stars. Oh, we got Kip saying hi. This was a 5-star read for sure. It was so good. I just wish there was a little epilogue at the end because I want to know what the characters are up to now. I do know that there is a short novella that is just over 200 pages that's set 4 years after this storyline, so I don't have to say goodbye to the characters just yet, but so good. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it, but the Madoran Chronicles is a young adult fantasy romance. I hope you enjoyed the reading vlog. Let me know if you enjoy this kind of content and I'll definitely film some more. See you for my next video. Bye!